Hello everyone, welcome back to VLSI for All. I'm Neeraj Charyala, back with yet another expert talk on VLSI industry and career. And this time we are very honored to have Pramod Govindan sir joining us. He is a very eminent personality in VLSI industry, having over 23 years of industry experience in SOC design and verification and integration. He has managed to lead many teams and also got a rich experience in academia. Before delving into the session, let me just introduce him more. So, Pramod Govindan sir completed his bachelor's in electrical, electronics and communications engineering from Government Engineering College, Thrissur, India, and went on to pursue his master's in VLSI and microelectronics at prestigious Illinois Institute of Technology. After a brief stint in the industry, making him even more worthy. He completed his PhD from Illinois Institute of Technology in the field of 3D compression algorithms and reconfigurable SOC design for ultrasonic imaging. During his career stint, Sar has donned many caps like project engineer, senior design engineer, assistant professor, and principal engineer, all while maintaining a high standard of professional excellence coupled with immense love for God. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. We're glad to have you with us for this session.
Thank you, Neeraj, for the kind introduction.
Yes, sir. So there were many personalities before who came and gave their experiences to the students. This is the first time where we have a person like you having a rich experience in both academia and industry. So, so what motivated you to pursue both the fields, sir? I mean, both academia and industry, and mostly
so
people moving on to directly industry, but not with academia. So what difference does it make?
So for my experience wise, I had a desire to work in the academia, but after pursuing some experience from the industry. So during my BTech studies, I had I had to go through some tough situations wherein the subjects which were taught were not maybe somehow or other, I don't know the reason, but it was not with proper attention, especially in the practical aspect. So just theoretical exposure were given and less practical exposure. Maybe the faculty did not have enough exposure in the industry, or whatever is the reason. So I wanted to do whatever little change I can do. So I wanted to first work in the industry for some time, then pursue my higher studies, and then work for the academia also for some time. So this was planned, and then after around 10 years of industry experience after my BTech, I moved out of the industry, at least temporarily, and then went on to master's and then PhD. During that, I started academic instruction also. So that was my motive. Basically, from my perspective, a faculty should have both theoretical plus practical exposure. And also an industry person, it's good to have some exposure to the academia, so that especially when it comes to hiring, it helps us to hire the best engineers from the academia, knowing what were their background while they were pursuing their academics. So that was one of the main reason why I went into both fields. And then I hope it is helping me and people around me also.
Yes, sir. In fact, many students complain about this point, that there's a gap between what they learn in at their colleges and what's actually going on in the industry. And I guess that's
right.
That's the main difference that you bring into the table. So could you please point us some of the instances how it helped you, utilizing your experience in the industry in teaching the subject to the students?
Yeah, sure. So more than helping me, of course, it helped me because I like to interact with the youth. So I got the opportunity to interact with the young engineers when I was teaching. That I enjoy. rather than just interacting with the computers. That was one of the reason. But when I started my teaching in Kerala, one of the university there, Radhagiri Institute, I was teaching the theoretical subjects, but since I had industry experience, I was in charge of projects also for their BTech projects. And then I was also guiding some core projects. So I introduced some VLSI projects based on my experience, and the FPGA boards and things like that were just hanging around in the lab without being touched because nobody was there to teach. So I got some good students who were interested, because that's very important. And then I was able to manage some projects, industry standard, but mini level projects with them, and they went on to publicizing some papers based on their work. And also most of them were able to get good careers in the relevant industry just based on their projects. So that was one of the outcome, I would say, which helped them and also me. It was rewarding for me that at least my experience became somewhat useful to some students. And then also I was able to inspire many students also. That was like a natural byproduct.
Yes, sir. Even as a student myself, I also feel the same. And when someone from the industry explain us things very practically, it makes the subject more interesting. And that again brings upon interest in the student. And he goes on and publicizes and also does research also in the domain. Thank you for doing that, sir. So, yeah. So you have done a lot of research in the VLSI domain also. So, I mean, at that time in India, how was the job domain in VLSI when you were just graduated? Nowadays, it has there are opportunities coming up. So, how were the opportunities at that time, at your times?
So when I passed out in 1997 or almost 1998, because of some whatever logistics in the university, our graduation got postponed till December for some reason. So that time the VLSI industry was sort of booming, and there were, I think, if I am correct, there were less engineers who were interested to go into the VLSI industry. For example, my BTech electronics and communication class, we had around 40 students and only 5 of them around went into this electronics or VLSI field, and majority went into the IT industry. That was their interest or whatever. So demand was high, and then we had reasonable opportunities, I would say. Not so much as of now, but still, since the interested engineers were less, so we did not have much difficulty. But my first job was an IT job, which was a campus selection. Of course, VLSI did not come to our campus. But when I went into that industry or that company, there were a few engineers, 3 or 4, they were interested in VLSI, and then they had a small project based on some test projects or something, not like a main domain. Somehow I was dragged into that because of my own interest in that. I just wanted to know what is VLSI all about, because we never learned VLSI during that time in the curriculum. And then immediately I liked, because I liked digital electronics. So then I started my career switching the company to a core VLSI company, and then I was assigned a US project, and then the journey started there.
Yeah, so you have switched to core domain at the end, but I mean, why did you go on to study at University of Illinois? I mean, we also have IITs here. So, what difference did it make for you by studying at Illinois University?
I had 2 options. I was trying at IIT here also, because I worked in US for some time, then came back to India, for good to lead a team as a manager in the same company in Hyderabad, Analog Devices. And after a few years of work, I wanted to pursue my master's. So I tried at IITs here, and then somehow my field and the faculty expertise, whatever, it did not match for some reason. I wanted to do core VLSI domain, and which was a little different, which I was came across. And then I found this IIT Chicago, which is also IIT for some reason. And they had good opportunities for masters in core VLSI microelectronics. So I applied and things worked out, and that's how I started higher studies at Chicago. That was an online program, so that helped me to pursue the online program while working in the academia here in India. But later for PhD, I applied the same university thinking that will be nice. And then they did not have an online, of course. So I moved to US on campus PhD. So that's how things went in my life.
Yeah. So actually, there are two interesting points to discuss here. So the first point is right now, since the VLSI industry is booming in India, and what do you suggest students between IITs and universities in US or other countries? Is it still okay to do MTech? I mean, if they have two options in front of them, can they pursue their masters in India itself in an eminent IIT?
Yes, sure. So IITs in India are well established in VLSI and other domains. And then there are several universities abroad, US and maybe UK. I have not explored so much, but I'm sure there are. But in US, there are many universities, good universities, which are comparable to IITs, or we could say vice versa. IITs are also comparable to many good universities in US also. But when it comes to masters, if someone wants to do a thesis, it is like a mini research. Then rather than the university, it depends on the faculty whom you choose or the student chooses. Because it could be a not so famous university, but the faculty and because in US and I'm sure IITs also, the faculty has the freedom to establish their own laboratory. So when it comes to that, maybe a major university, but not so good laboratory for a particular faculty, that could happen, or vice versa, a smaller university, but a faculty with good experience and motivation can establish a very nice laboratory for that particular research. So when it comes to choosing the university, more than that, I would recommend choosing the faculty with whom one would like to work. And that can, of course, university can make a change because the support from the university does matter, but it also matters who the faculty is and what is the motivation of the faculty and how much expertise the faculty has, etc. So it's a mixture of both. Mentioning that indicates that IITs in India are also a very good option. And then there are some universities other than IITs in India, they also do some good research. So it all depends on, again, whom you select and what is the intention behind the department or faculty member in establishing the lab which you are interested in. So it's both. But definitely India is also a very good place for MTechs and PhD these days.
Thank you, sir. Definitely the students who will be watching this session will take that insight.
Yeah.
And coming to the other question now. So you have done your master's online while you were pursuing your academia experience. So is it still very good for is it still good for individuals who wants to do same as you have done, like doing some let's say someone like a person who is from tier 3 college, let's say, and he got into IT industry and he's doing his job, but he wants to pursue his master's in core and he wants to take the program online while working. So
this is mainly meant for such people. And I had friends who were doing masters with me. I was in the academia, but majority of the other friends were in the industry. And then they were working in the industry, plus they do this online program because the flexibility is there without compromising the work. They were, of course, some time has to be allotted for studying. So if so my justification was when in academics, I had additional time to pursue my master's, number one. And number two, since I was teaching, that was helping my master's or vice versa. So it was like hand in hand. So that helped me a lot. But if you're working in an IT industry or some other industry, then it depends on what kind of course you are taking as master's, then how much time you have to dedicate for the studies. So we have to make sure we have enough time. If you're working 14 hours a day, then it may be a bit challenging to pursue masters while you work. So you need to have some support from the industry or your manager also, so that you can dedicate some hours daily for your studies. Then it is a good option. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's definitely a viable option, as you're saying.
Right.
So coming to your industry experience now. So currently you are working as principal engineer at Rambus. So as a principal
Yes.
engineer, what is your main responsibility? What are your roles and responsibilities?
So in my position here now, principal engineer can have multiple responsibilities in multiple companies or within same company. Different PE roles can have different responsibilities. My major role is to develop a logic design team here and mentor them and nurture the junior engineers to become a good logic design engineers. I'm PE in the logic design side, and also do some hands-on, and it's a technical role. That is what I chose. I wanted to continue hands-on rather than just managing. So I have some responsibilities to guide and mentor engineers, and then also to contribute technically to the project and to the company as a whole. So that's what my role. And then I'm also utilizing my academic experience in teaching so that I can plan things properly and guide and train the engineers also, while helping them to continue their project responsibilities. Yeah.
So your academia experience is also paying you back here as a principal engineer.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, even the management agrees to that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So since you have got experience in teaching computer architecture to students, and you're now a principal engineer, and also you have done research. So there's a question from my side actually. So in near future or in future, what do you think about VLSI? Will it progress as it is doing so right now, or computer architecture will gain more traction in future than VLSI? What's your opinion on this?
I don't know whether one side computer architecture and the other side VLSI, because it is like helping each other in one sense. VLSI is a major part of any device or electronic system these days. So it depends on, I was not very clear about computer architecture versus VLSI, which you are asking. Both has its own progress path going forward, and one will be helping the other domain, definitely. Or VLSI is a fundamental part of any area of life these days. So we cannot hold off to the VLSI. VLSI will be always in demand. Now there could be some saturation in some sense, but again that leads to another sort of progress in that path. So VLSI is a essential section in any of the domain, including computer architecture. Now the quantum computing and all those things are coming up also, but I'm sure VLSI, the name VLSI may not stand as it is, but that concept will still be there in an advanced way also. Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason behind asking this question was like there are quite a many students who are confused between doing research in VLSI versus computer architecture. I mean, if they go about starting a
Okay.
research in computer architecture, will it be more advantageous for them if they are interested in both of them? So mainly with respect to the
Oh, okay, I got it.
job
No, I
prospects.
think
Yeah.
both are valid these days, because VLSI is also progressing into next level, as I mentioned, quantum computing and things like that. But that can take a longer time. But the current VLSI also will go for several years at least, I'm sure, because there are still issues which we are trying to deal with the latest advanced technologies within VLSI. And then the quantum computing or some other technology will take time to get established. So at least for several years, the current system also will go. So whether they do this or that, both has its own place too. So they don't need to worry about choosing this or that.
Yes, got it.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of experience in SOC design and verification and integration as well. So,
Yeah.
I mean, could you please point us to any the current day current trends in SOC design and verification? Are there any advancements in that field?
Now there are in the SOC design domain, current trend is to integrate IPs more than designing the modules from scratch. And then so there are companies who are focusing just on IP design, and then companies who are focusing on just SOC, that means putting things together and make a larger system to work. And then companies like Rambus, we have both IP design groups and SOC groups, etc. And when it comes to verification, now it is a major challenge because the complexity of the system on chip, having multiple interfaces, multiple IPs, and all those things are very, very dominating, and verifying that as a system is very challenging. Now we have system Verilog and UVM based methodologies are in place, and many students are going behind that so that they have a good growth in that industry. And that is a good way to go also. And the challenge which we see is now from a perspective of say hiring. When we hire a SOC design engineer or SOC verification engineer, what companies are looking at is one is the fundamental knowledge, digital basics, and also the system level knowledge. Now we cannot expect that people know the technology protocols, etc. Everything that could be a wrong expectation, but the enthusiasm to learn not only new languages and things like that, that is there in students. They want to learn system Verilog or C or system C or scripts, and all those things are there, and a lot of training institutes do a good job in that. But they should have an enthusiasm to and patience to learn new technologies and protocols and things like that, because that is keep on changing. So how to implement is one thing, but what to implement requires some fundamental understanding of these things, and that learning, because sometimes students I learned for 4 years in the BTech, 2 years masters, now I cannot learn anymore. So that is not very favorable, that attitude, if one wants to get into such a nice company. So that is what I'm seeing, where students have to come up with, this is what expected, so I am ready to learn and apply that during my career also. Not only the language, which is fundamental, which everyone can do, but learning the technology that needs some sort of attitude also. So that is where they can make a difference. Yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, that's a very good point that you have raised to all the students who will be watching the session, that
Right.
continued learning is what most of the recruiters see in students, as you were saying. And that's a
Yeah,
differentiating factor.
correct.
Okay, great.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
yes, sir. So coming to that aspect, actually, recruitment aspect. So when you look at a resume of a candidate, especially a fresher, so you were saying that fundamentals, digital fundamentals is one key thing, and the other is uh, interest in the field. I mean, their continued interest in the
Yeah.
field is one other thing. So, I mean,
Yeah.
what role does projects play in this recruitment aspect? So, when you look at the projects, so do you expect their projects to be good?
Yeah. You mean the academic projects?
Yeah, academic projects or projects that they do on their own interest. So,
Yes. Yes.
I
So
mean, the question
projects
is,
play a major role.
yeah, actually, let me put it in another way. So there are two students who are sitting for the interview. One student has got, I mean, both the students have got all the fundamentals, very good fundamentals, and the only differentiating factor was uh, the projects actually. So one was not very good at. I mean, he has done projects, he or she has done projects, but there were not many projects done on the field that the other candidate has done. Although both have done the projects, but let's say the number. So is that a differentiating factor?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so the project plays a major role, definitely. But now, when it comes to say selection, uh, it is not that the project is the only factor which makes the decision. But yes, project has a very good influence because the project gives us or gives them a good amount of hands-on experience. So that showcasing that is very, very important. At the same time, their fundamentals are also very, very important. Now, it could happen that one person gets opportunity to do a good project versus the other person, maybe skilled and capable and having good attitude, might not get that opportunity. So just because of that, I know they need not lose the opportunity if they can project, not the doing projects, if they can project their own capacities in a different way in terms of some understanding or some general knowledge and things like that. So some exposure is definitely required if it is relevant exposure that has influence, definitely. But that's not the dominating factor, because someone might have done a very great project under some great faculty, whatever, but the contribution of that person also does matter. So the person has to showcase how much he or she contributed, to what level and what depth, and how much they have grasped out of it, etc. That also matter. And someone might have done a smaller project, but the contribution may be really uh, you know, dominating factor. So that can also give value. So it is, yes, a project does matter, but how much the person has involved in that, and then to what extent the person tried to exceed the expectation of the project, etc. That also matters. Generally, the attitude. Uh, yeah.
Yes, sir. So students, I guess students will now have a clear understanding of what goes in the mind of a recruiter, especially from VLSI field when they apply for jobs. Thank you for those answers, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. So very recently there have been talks now and then that semiconductor industry in India will be in an upward trajectory, just like how software industry was in past. So, what do you think about this, and how should one be better prepared for such scenario?
Yes, that is true. So we keep hearing about that, and the support from the government, and the support from the industry also to uh, cooperate with the government and establishing more VLSI industry, semiconductor industry, and development of new processing system, and both manufacturing system also. Now, from the student perspective, yes, they can, as I mentioned before, they can get ready with the fundamentals, and also get ready with the technology understanding as well. not only the implementation aspects that is very much required, but also the technology aspects. And now, since this is going to be a growing industry, there will be expectations from the engineers. That means the students are going to become engineers, expectation in terms of establishing things which were not there before. So it could happen that even some sort of junior engineers also will be given or needs to take up some additional responsibilities than the usual domain. Suppose someone wants to start a new company or a startup. So I'm sure there will be more opportunities for startup, and the setup within a startup system will be very different compared to an established big company. So the startup, someone wants to join the startup means they need to take up more responsibilities than usually expected from a junior engineer. So that means that requires some basic fundamentals and technological understanding, and again, attitude to learn. So that is what expected from the engineers, as far as I'm concerned. Then they will be able to succeed in that, even within India.
Yes, sir. Point noted. So coming back to your industry experience now. So within your more than 2 decades of experience, what were some of the interesting projects, most interesting projects, at least to you, that you have done?
So in the industry, opinion, one of the project which I happened to do is, or I got the opportunity is to implement a hardware accelerator, which is an algorithm usually done in a software by the processor, will be done completely in hardware. That means it's sort of hard coded using the logic gates, and which is meant for security domain, without going into the details of the algorithm. But that was a challenging requirement, because those days, this was several years before the chip technology was not so advanced that time. So achieving
was this before GPUs as well?
Kind of.
Okay.
Yeah. So so the architecture needs to be very efficient to accommodate the performance requirement from the user perspective or the customer perspective. And then I was given the chance to do that, and I did almost single-handedly that design, and I had some support for verification from some junior engineers, but it went through fine. Finally, it was implemented on silicon and it worked properly. So that was something which I remember, and I used some of the experience in that project, even when I was in academics, to teach some of the design techniques and things like that. Yeah.
That's great. And in fact, the current decade, 2020 to 2030 decade, is actually said as a decade of accelerators. And you have done this same thing several years before.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I had queries from several students. Just a side point that they are interested in AI ML, not in VLSI. So I told them these are not different. VLSI is going to play a major role even in AI ML with accelerators. So you don't need to leave VLSI to capture AI ML. You can be here and be there.
That's true, and that's actually a more interesting side of the coin, being in VLSI and also designing ML accelerators of the future. And right now we also see many startups are almost all the startups in VLSI domain are coming up with ML accelerators, edge computing accelerators, and so on.
Yes, that's true.
So, since till now, I mean, we have concentrated more on the compute part. I mean, last few decades, I mean, many decades since the VLSI has begun its trend. What do you think about memory design?
Yeah.
I mean, still we face issues with memory. We face delays with memory. So I guess Rambus is also a very good company which is working on memory part, integrating it with the compute part as well. So what do you see the
Yes.
trend in memory design in near future?
Yes. So yeah, because when it comes to the data science and big computing and all those things, so much of memory is needed, storage is required, and memory is going to play a major role. Memory is always playing a major role in different sense, but it is going to play a bigger role going forward. And then connecting between the computing and memory is very essential, because more computing means more memory uh, to a good extent. So we have this CXL technology which is emerging now. It is going to be used heavily in this kind of big data systems, and the memory requirement is also going to be increasing. So the memory design and memory technology has to play a major role in making things efficient and faster, etc. So it's a good domain to look for the new engineers also.
Got it, sir. So we're almost
Yeah.
at the end of the session now. Couple of questions
Yeah.
before we call it a day. So what do you think about VLSI for all and the work we are doing currently?
So with my minimal knowledge, I've not spent good amount of time, but I have gone through some aspects from your website and getting to know some of you a little bit. It's a good initiative wherein now there are thousands and thousands of engineers are coming out from their academia field after their education, and they are kind of confused, because when I talk to many, they, even if they want to pursue VLSI, they have a number of options. Should I be a design, verification, or backend, or which one is good versus that, etc. And then they need some kind of support, a global kind of support, wherein they have enough flexibility in approaching someone and gathering some experience or knowledge or training or things like that. And I see that VLSI for All is doing such support to the people coming out of the colleges and universities in pursuing their career or higher studies, or even if they want to start their own system, company or something. I'm sure you are giving some sort of guidance, and you are, I think one of your major responsibility you have taken up is linking the expertise both from academia and industry to the junior engineers or the students, so that they will have a platform to be mentored or get guidance. And that is a very great effort from my side. I really appreciate all of you for that. Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for those kind words. So when you look back 23 years ago, young Pramod, who was just beginning his career, what do you suggest him? How should he go about learning and growing in the industry, especially in VLSI domain? And what do you suggest in general, young engineers?
One of the suggestion, it's not an order or something, but suggestion would be, if somebody has a desire to pursue higher studies, better to do that earlier than late. Two reasons: you are still in that academic mindset, and if you have an opportunity, maybe financially and otherwise, to finish your higher studies, then you will be better positioned in the career field wherever you are, and then you can contribute more efficiently, and you will have more satisfaction in that sense. But if somebody is having other obstacles to pursue higher studies, of course they can try to do while they are in their beginning stages of their career, rather than pursuing that in their later stage. I had done probably not a very good thing by going for masters after 10 years of industry. I had my own reasons to some extent, but I feel like if someone can do that before, that will be much beneficial and helpful.
That's great, sir. So once again, thank you, and we are very grateful for your session. Such a experienced person giving us talk to all the young students who are going to start their career in VLSI. I'm sure that students who are going to listen this session will definitely find it insightful in many aspects, both related to academia, their career, and also the industry perspectives as well. Thank you once again, sir, for sharing your experiences and the knowledge that you have acquired. Thank you all for joining us today.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I hope this was a fruitful session. We'll be back with such interesting expert talks in VLSI industry. Stay tuned to VLSI for All. Goodbye.
Thank you all.